So do we get to see people who are out here?
Well, on the event page, I think you can see people that are watching. If you keep another window open with the event page.
So how do we know if we have guests?
Hello, anybody out there? Welcome.
Well, they can't talk, but
it's a silent party.
Yeah, there is a page somewhere that shows who's connected. If you look on the event page where where you started the link, it should have a log there. It shows whenever somebody joined. I don't remember. We hadn't done this since last year, and I haven't really done a good trial. Last year we did a full-blown test the day before.
Hello, anybody out there? Welcome.
Oh, they can't talk, but
it's a silent party.
Yeah, there is a page somewhere that shows who's connected.
So this is a playback now.
When you started the link.
Yeah, I opened up the.
You should have a log there. Somebody opened up the thing on the event page, and that'll be 30 seconds. You can't do that. You have to turn off the sound because I haven't really done anything 30 seconds late or something. Just open the event page. Don't open that video on the event page.
Yeah, I was just opening it up to see what it was like. I didn't realize that it was going to have the delay. So I couldn't tell from there if there was anybody logged in. I had expected that it would kind of be like how it is normally, where we see like people signing into the group chat or something like that.
They don't show up on the bottom. They're not supposed to. We have 4 viewers now, which is you guys.
Should we put? You want to go to the Facebook page real quick, Wendy, and maybe say something like out of towners during the meeting, or? You think
6 viewers now, so people are starting to join. Hello,
okay.
Anybody that's
I will. I'll also add this link on our Facebook page. Should I do that? Yes.
Yeah, well, part of me is debating whether we do that or not, because I don't want to introduce it to the whole world.
Right.
Looks like we've got Rudy Luna in here. Hello, Rudy.
Where are you seeing that, Mags?
Oh, yeah. No, James Welch actually wrote, just a reminder for those of you attending, it starts in 15 minutes.
Oh, James.
Jacob Stone is in here now.
If you go to the left-hand side, you can open up the Q&A and or the chat window.
Q&A?
So Q&A is going to give you all the little comments. So
good.
David, Joe, Darren, Rudy, welcome everyone.
And then the chat window, so if they want to ask us questions. So should one of us manage the chat window?
Yes.
We shouldn't really be using the chat window. You should use the Q&A window. They can ask a question, then we should answer the question live for everybody to hear the answer.
Gotcha. Okay, so you hear that, everybody? Go into the Q&A window. All right, cool.
I only see you guys in this call. I don't see the others.
They're not going to show up on the bottom with their live video. They can't talk. That's why they have to enter a question there's a questions box on their screen. They can enter.
Okay.
So everybody that's listening to us, we're still just waiting for everybody to join, and we don't do this very often. So
right. I have Earl, Robert, Maggie.
We're practicing.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
We have 11 people watching now.
So if you haven't already said hello, if you could pop into your questions box there and just say hi and let us know you're here, that would be helpful.
We have 28 people said they were coming.
28. It grew.
So we're going to have to do a little song and dance.
Yep.
There
you go.
Why are you crew chief number 5?
Oh, is that what it says? That was from last year. I thought I'd taken off that. Well, since we have 5 crew chiefs,
Okay, good.
Welcome, Samantha.
So I guess we need to keep talking so they won't think we're muted or something.
Hello, Lawrence. And Terry. So my little question things are popping up completely out of order. So if I miss you, I apologize, but Jacob.
Now I see. Okay. Super.
Are they seeing us?
Yes.
We are seeing us?
If you look on the event
back and
page,
forth?
that should show, I don't know, I guess it doesn't though because it's not live. I think last year you could see it on the events page.
When I went to the events page, that's when we were having the playback issue.
Yeah, well, you don't want to start the playback. That's playing back the recording. But whatever, they should be seeing whatever's on our big screen.
Terry, Samantha, Rudy.
So just let everybody know if you'd like to tap into your Q&A area. There is going to be a little box at the top right with 6 little boxes in it and everything. So go ahead and click on that, and that opens up your little Q&A area. That's where you can ask us questions, make comments, etc. And again, mine are coming in completely out of order, so...
I don't know if there is any order.
Yeah,
different people have different versions of Google or how they're accessing it. The way you get the Q&A box could be different for different people. So.
Let's see, I think Dave Huber just joined. Hello.
So we have 13 people in. I'm going to wait a little while longer. I think we can stall, or do we want to? We didn't come up with a plan for the stall time. Since we have 28 people said they were coming, and only 14 have joined now. So.
Just hang in there, folks.
Yeah, we don't want to start the presentation until we get
critical
more
mass.
Than half of them in at least, huh? And there could be some total strangers. This is a public meeting, so anybody can join it. I didn't restrict it, so we could have people that are completely unrelated to South by Southwest.
Nice, nice.
So if you see any strange names here, we could always kick them off if they ask dumb questions or something if they're not South by.
Yeah, you guys hear that?
Don't tell any secrets.
Apparently.
Don't anybody mention anything about the Beatles reunion at South by this year.
I'm here, Jonathan. You're in the wrong place.
Yay, Jonathan!
You need to be with us, the other side of the table. Earl, do you need to invite him?
Yeah, I tried to send him an invite, but it wouldn't let me, so I don't know what's...
Let me see if we can do that, Earl. Hold on.
Let's see if I can find him.
I've been watching you set up. Finally figured out. Okay, good. Good job, Zeke.
Oh yeah, you're right. They are coming in out of order. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But they are coming in nonetheless.
Jonathan, you should have gotten an invite from me about 7:30 or just a little bit afterwards that would get you in directly to the meeting. So your picture will show here. You need to. Can you see if you can find that? No, you didn't get one from me because I couldn't invite you. For some reason, it won't let me invite you.
That's odd. This side is more fun.
I'm trying again here. It doesn't show you in the pick list when I try to invite you.
Okay, while we're waiting, I'm gonna eat my dinner.
Hey, what about us? I just sent you another invite, Jonathan. See if you got something, or I attempted to.
Thanks everyone for your patience. We'll be starting in a couple minutes.
The problem you're seeing is not the fault of your set.
Thank you, Google, for allowing us to have this hangout.
Thank you, Val, for bringing me P. Terry's.
Extra points for Val.
Yay.
Nice, Maggie. Good luck.
Heck yeah. You can't have a good training session without a glass of wine.
Oh.
And Pete Terry.
Again? That's the second meeting this week. I'm gonna start going over to your place.
I know how to have meetings.
Okay, maybe I should eat this off camera.
Are there any new people that have joined us? If you could just let us know. Say hello.
Pop into your Q&A box and drop us a little line letting us know that you're here.
Okay, so how many do we have at this point?
Well, it's just 13 viewers right this minute.
Okay. 10 after 8. I think we should start soon.
Yep. See if I can get Jonathan in. He needs to present. I can't find him.
Is there a link we can send him?
I have. But I don't know if that link, usually we send that link before we start the broadcast, so.
Well, while we are waiting for Jonathan to come over, I'll go ahead and get us all set up over here with our presentation.
Okay. Yeah, this is what you'll see when you walk into the room. So everybody's walking into the room now.
Still no Jonathan? He's got a big part of this.
Welcome, James. Again, anybody who's joined us and you haven't popped into your Q&A box yet, please do so you can let us know that you're here. This is also where you need to post any questions that you have as we're going along. One or the other of us will answer your questions, or we'll try and answer them out loud for everyone to hear if we're able to. For some odd reason, they come in out of order, so we're going to try and find all of the ones that come through.
Well, I think they have a process where, like, other people can say, yeah, I like that question, and it may bubble to the top, you know, how many people say they like it.
Oh, I see that, yeah. I was wondering what the +1 and +2 is.
Yeah, that's that way you can, if you get hundreds, because you could have this with thousands of people, so it should put the most popular question, should come up to the top.
Okay. So would you like for us to go ahead and get started, or do you want to?
I'm still trying to get Jonathan in, but if you want to go ahead and start. Technology, wonderful.
Rita, it's up to you if you want to go ahead and get started.
Alrighty. Jonathan's going to be leading in here pretty quickly, though.
Okay, I'm working with him right now. I'm chatting with him.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and get started then. So I will hand it over to Rita.
Hello, everybody. You can't really see my face right now, but you saw me earlier. Those of you who've been part of the crew before know who this is talking. Welcome to the 2015 photo crew. This slide deck was prepared for the in-person meeting, so there are going to be, you know, a few things that we might say, oh, we're not going through that right now. So just ignore the little glitches that might happen when we skip through things. Everybody should have turned in. Earl, have they all turned in their license agreement? Like, how did that work for out-of-towners?
The out-of-towners got a list that Maggie has. So if you haven't signed a license agreement, you will have to sign one when you come check in for your first shift. We have a list of who needs to sign it still.
Alrighty, so just keep that on your radar. Next. Again, thank you for being part of our crew. You're part of the largest team of event photographers in the world.
World.
I don't know. But we believe that it's true because, you know, there's like 80 plus of you this year. So we're very grateful for everyone, especially the out-of-towners. We know how much effort it takes for you guys to get here. So thank you for that. This is, again, one of those things where it's really more aligned with the big meeting that we're going to have in person, but we're going to spend about 45 minutes doing a just general overview, what it means to shoot for South by Southwest. Some of it you may know already. Lots of changes for people who are coming back. So if this isn't your first year, there's a lot of really new, cool things. We're also going to attempt to do some breakout sessions at the end. If it were in person, this would be, you know, a time for you to be able to kind of ask some questions and whatnot, and we'd go into little groups. This is going to be more of just a slide presentation and just general discussion for everybody because of the format for this meeting. And obviously we're not going to be able to do a field trip to the new crew room, but we do have a cool little video that is kind of like a field trip for you, so you'll see that. Next. Introducing your 2015 crew chiefs, which you can't see them, but Maggie put in awesome pictures of all of us. So we have Earl on the line, Jonathan we're still trying to get on the line, Maggie, who is running this wonderful slideshow, myself, and Wendy, which again, if any of you are alumnus, you know most of our faces.
Jonathan's here.
Jonathan's here, yay! And then we've got our shift leads this year. We've got almost, let's see, 3 new shift leads actually. So Chris was part of the photography crew for a long time. He's been promoted to a shift lead. Regina as well. Socket has been a shift lead for a number of years now. William, it's his 2nd year, and Yumi's also been promoted from the main crew. So some of these faces will be familiar to those of you who know them. Be sure to be nice to them throughout the festival. Moving on, I'm going to pass this slide over to Miss Wendy.
Actually, we're going to pass on this one, because this is a turn to your neighbor in person kind of thing. And we're moving on to what is new this year. And now if Jonathan is able to speak, he is going to take this over. Are you with us, Jonathan?
I hope I can speak. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of a
You
requirement.
say Jonathan LaChance.
Are you wearing a jacket, Jonathan?
No. Should I be?
Just a sweater.
No, just a sweater.
I just want you to dress up.
No, I didn't dress up.
I'm wearing my best t-shirt.
Not that you're not worthy of being dressed up for, guys. Don't worry about that.
Classic Jonathan cardigan.
Yeah, if it's cool outside, I probably got a cardigan on. So, hello everybody. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties there getting me on board here, but hopefully I'm here now. And I just want to apologize in advance for the giant mess behind me. It's just a giant mess. What can I do? It's the only quiet room in the house.
I don't think they can see it. I think they can only see the
well,
slides.
That's good. All right. So, So we're rolling. So I guess here's where we'll talk about what's new for this year in the crew, and this is, several years now of crew chiefing. So I guess who's advancing materials on these slides here? Is that
Maggie's running the slide.
Maggie.
all right? Maggie, you can probably just load the whole thing up for me, so I'll know where I'm going with my conversation. So new this year is everybody's getting a full registrant badge. This is different from years past in that years past it was a specially designated volunteer badge, so it was still platinum, but it was more or less listed as a volunteer. You didn't have access to South by Social, which is a way of sort of the social media side of South by Southwest. I actually don't know if anybody really uses that or not, but Essentially, it didn't have quite all the same, I guess, clout as a regular full registrant badge, even though it kind of looked like it did. This year is a full registrant badge. That means that anybody can pick up your badge at any registration area, official registration booths. And I haven't heard, I don't know if anybody else has heard, if they're doing them around Austin this year like they did last year, or if it's just going to be at the convention center. If you were here in Austin, they had a thing up north, a thing down south. It wasn't the most efficiently run thing.
Locations, Jonathan. They have it at the Long Center, and then they also have it. They're calling it like the flagship or something like that when you look at the official South by page.
Okay.
And then they have the remote site at the Long Center.
Yeah, I think the key message here is just to know that you can pick up your badge anywhere. This year also we have, for the first time, we're not going to be wearing the standard volunteer shirts, which every volunteer for South by would wear. This year we have our own photo crew shirts, which is something we pushed for many years, and it is finally happening, which is great. It'll be a nice black shirt, so you're not sticking out like a sore thumb with a bright red shirt or whatever color it is. Purple, I think, this year, at the front of venues or panels and that sort of thing. So you get to sort of stealth your way in, ninja, if you will, your way into the front and do your work a little bit more subtly. This also is going to help with various venues identifying our people on our crew, so they know you're there in an official capacity. So that, along with your badge, sort of identifies you as one of our photographers, which is great. Let's see. So South by directives for what to shoot. I think this is just a little bit different this year as it relates to, and you guys jump in and correct me if I'm misinterpreting this line, but this relates more to sort of the types of things that South by is looking for, particularly in sort of more atmosphere type assignments, or and that they're really looking for more moments, less big crowds and that sort of thing. Crowds can be good, signage and crowds, all that stuff. We'll talk more about that. But they really want to see more sort of moments of people really like engaged and having a good time.
Hey, Jonathan, can I just cut you for just one second? Because I'm noticing there's a question up here saying that they can see our thumbnails at the bottom and the main window shows whichever one of us is talking. So I'm curious if they can see the slides. I know I'm seeing the slides.
I'm seeing the slides.
But it sounds like from one of the questions at the top of the Q&A window that they're seeing you talking.
I'm sorry, that's terrible.
I think that came in earlier before we had the slides locked on the screen, so they should be seeing the slides. So.
Okay. Just trying to sort of watch this as well.
All right. Yep, I see everybody. A few people, James, chiming in saying they see slides, so that's good. That's what we want you to see.
Okay.
You don't need to see my ugly mug, that's for sure. Let's see. Another thing that's new this year is the opportunity to upload images daily. This is primarily for social media, so if you've got some kick-ass shots that you want to share with people and you think that South by would really appreciate to be able to post into social media and that sort of thing, we'll have a place to do that. The details have not been worked out, but we'll be sharing that with you as the details become available. This year also, it's also very new. Anybody who's been on the crew before knows we've always been in the Hilton in room 618. This year we're not there. We're going to be in the Hilton Garden Inn. It's a totally different hotel. Fortunately, it's got Hilton in the name, so it'll be as confusing as it can possibly be. But it's the hotel. Basically, it's closer to I-35. We'll have a little bit more about that as well. Also new this year is we've really been trying to spend more time as crew chiefs helping people out. When I first started as a photographer on the crew, it was a very sort of come in, hear a speech, show up your first day, go shoot your stuff, and never interact with anybody on the crew or crew chiefs or anybody else. It was just sort of a very streamlined process, I guess, and we're really trying to change that. So if at any point you guys have any questions or concerns or things that we can do to help you out, definitely let us know. We want you to be able to walk away from this experience feeling like you've learned a lot about photography, that you've actually upped your game. If anybody, I don't know if anybody who's ever gone through this experience has said, yeah, I'm about as where I was when I started. I didn't really learn anything. Pretty much everybody learns quite a bit. And then the last thing, standby list. I think Maggie, this is basically where we're going to have some photographers sort of more or less on standby in case people have to change assignments or can't be on an assignment. I'm not seeing any nods from my fellow crew chiefs. That's what this is, right? Okay, good.
There's more
so
slides for all of these as you move forward.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'll just zip right through. I'm really sorry, guys. Came right straight from a work event, so I'm just catching up. So
No problem.
thank you for being patient. Oh, look, there's some of my badges. So why has all this changed? As far as the sort of special designation with South by, I think they are acknowledging now that this is a very special crew. This is not somebody showing up to take tickets or sit at the bottom of the stairs and make sure people aren't going to the wrong place. That everybody here is, pro, semi-pro. Everybody has to bring very expensive gear with them to do, the things that we have to do to get the job done. So that's why the perks and things have changed. Should be easier to access venues, particularly when you're not on shift. Let's see, talked about registration. One other thing to mention at the bottom here is that the +1 is basically, a lot of people don't know this, but if you have a badge, you can actually use it to purchase a wristband for film or for music at the early bird wristband film prices. If you're not in Austin, you may not know what that is. Look it up. It's basically, it gives people access to, bye honey, my wife's leaving. It gives people access to go. It's like a badge, but it's primarily for locals to go and enjoy the show. So I'm pretty sure you can find information online about that. We can skip ahead. All right, cool. So this is the shirts, I think. Yeah, how about that? It's beautiful, right? That's not it, though, is it? That's a Maggie joke, you guys. It's a good one. So here's the shirts. This is what they look like. They're nothing too flashy or special, but that's exactly kind of what we want. So if you haven't been on the crew before, you'd be like, great, it's a shirt. But if you've been on the crew, you're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Like, finally.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All right. So with the shirt comes a little bit of responsibility. We've always had this on the crew. But we've really gone to bat to South by to say, look, we really need these things for us to to be able to operate in a more efficient manner. And so it kind of comes with some responsibilities, which is essentially not to abuse it. It's sort of ripe for abuse if you think about it. And we expect that people aren't going to do that. They're going to be awesome and not be a her. So you'll wear that shirt whenever you're on. When you're on shift. If you're on shift and you're shooting, you'll wear it. If you're not on shift, you'll not wear it. I think we've got a caveat as well about if you're attending something you're not assigned to, not so much. And the reason why we want to be sort of careful with that is we don't, if a bunch of people are off shift and they want to go shoot somebody that's speaking or a keynote or whatever, we can't have like 12 people up there with photo crew shirts because that would look ridiculous and you'd be getting in the way of the people who are actually assigned to those things. So, be cool when you're working, around other photographers. Be cool, be nice, let people get shots, that sort of thing, and just kind of remember that represents us, and people know to be looking for those shirts and whatnot now, and they know who to call if somebody's wearing those shirts and they do something stupid. You guys aren't going to do anything stupid, so I'm not too worried about it. There is a very little tolerance though if there is a sort of a screw up, so that's just part of the gig, I guess. All right, what South by wants you to shoot. The most maybe overriding thing for all of this is to treat it like a photojournalist would. Don't be afraid to jump in and get the shots you need to get. You're looking for stories, moments, of course. This is a sort of a key theme from Jamie and South by this year. Is they definitely want that sort of South by experience. That's a very sort of ambiguous, nebulous way of looking at it, but I think as photographers and artists, you guys can figure out what that means and should be able to get some cool shots. Atmosphere is critical. It's also a great place to find those moments. When you're shooting in crowds, focus on a thing that's happening. Maybe that still gets the crowd in place, but you want to find something that's happening. Maybe that's somebody that's dancing or somebody that's shaking hands with the speaker or engage with the speaker. Much like we have Amy here with this who's that? Spacing his name.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, thank you very much. Amy's a huge fan. You can't tell from the picture, but she loves Ed. So, okay, so maybe next slide. The daily uploads, as I mentioned before, we'll have more information about this. This is just stuff that's like timely and happening in now and things that they can share quickly and share on social media. There's no guarantees about whose photos are going to get used. I don't even know what the criteria is going to be and how they're going to sort of figure that out. But it's not something we ever could do before, so this is a pretty cool thing because you guys will be in a position to actually get great shots of things, and so you have a chance to get your shots out there and shared by the South by Twitter account, which has got tens, if not hundreds of thousands of followers. So that would be cool, and you'll have the opportunity to upload those from our home base in the Hilton Garden Inn. Gee, I'm sorry I talked about all this crap already. But I did. Essentially, the mentoring is what we want to be able to help you guys out as we go through the festival. If you've got questions about, am I doing this right? Am I getting the shots I need? Or I'm having this problem, or I can't seem to, every panel I shoot, it's underexposed, or it's always blurry, anything like that. We want to help with that. Our goal is to get great shots and to help you guys get better as photographers, and so we are going to want to just jump right in there and help you out. If you have questions or anything like that, definitely let us know. Let's see here. If you have questions, so between assignments, there'll always be a crew chief hanging out in the room or close to the room, and so definitely come by and ask us. We want to help, and don't be offended if we say, "Hey, do you mind sharing some of the shots that you've taken? Can I just see how it's going?" and that sort of thing. Special topic sessions we haven't decided necessarily on yet, or when, or where, or how, but there will be probably a session or two that we'll share maybe on the Facebook group as the festival goes on. All right, that's it for me.
Excellent. Okay, so shift leads. As most of you have been here before, you know that I've been a shift lead for the past few years and have just recently moved up to crew chief. So I know my way around the shift lead world. So let me just give you a little bit of information about them. So the shift leads are volunteers just like you. As we mentioned earlier when we were talking about who your shift leads are going to be, most of them are photographers just like you. They've worked their way up through the ranks and decided that they really wanted to be a part of the behind the scenes. So this year, because things have gotten bigger and better every year, we needed to bring in some more shift leads to handle some of these issues and just to handle all the comings and goings of the shift. I'm going to be managing them, so I'm actually going to be on shift with them this year, so you're still going to see me behind the desk like you've seen me in years past. We've got a bunch of new things lined up for this year, and I'm very excited because our goal as a shift lead is to make your day-to-day as easy and stress-free as possible so that you can go out and get those shots. We handle the check-ins, and any issues that come your way, we're there. You show up at a venue and no one is there, you call us. You show up at a venue and they decide they don't want you, you call us. If somebody bumps into you on the street and they break your flash or something, you call us. We can always help, and we are there to help. And to that, right now, if you don't have your phone handy, you get a piece of paper, a Post-it note, write it on the wall with lipstick. I don't care what you do. Write this phone number down right now and put this in your phone. This is your lifeline. It says hotline, but it should say lifeline because this is how you reach us. So I'm going to give you 2 more seconds to put this in, and then I'm going to move on. And moving on. Okay, so if you don't pay attention to any other slide in this deck, please, for the love of Pete, pay attention to this slide because this slide is critical to you being successful at South by. These are your check-in procedures. There is a very strict 15-minute window. Yes, I said 15 minutes. And so those of you that are new, that sounds like a very short amount of time. Those of you that have been here before, you realize it's plenty of time. However, the one thing I cannot stress enough is there is no parking downtown. No parking. None. No parking. Nothing at all. Don't think there's parking because there's not. And to that point, essentially, if you think it's going to take you 10 minutes to get someplace, it's going to take you 30. If you think that it's going to take you 5 minutes to park, it's going to take you 55 minutes to park. I mean, it's one of those things that if you've not experienced it, you don't realize how much time it's going to take you to do each one of these things. When we say there's a very strict window, it is very strict because you have to check in with us 30 minutes before your shift starts, which means if you have a 9 a.m. shift, you have to check in between 8:15 and 8:30. If you have a 4 p.m. shift, you check in between 3:15 and 3:30. This window of time is mandatory. It's required. So in particular, for those of you coming in from out of town, I highly recommend taking a chance to go downtown and walk the path over there so you know exactly where in the hotel you're going, so that way you are not late. Every so often on your assignment sheet, you may see that you've been given permission to do a remote or a midday check-in. The only time these are ever going to happen is if you have been given prior permission on your assignment sheet. It is never authorized other than then. So if you are running late for any reason, don't. But if you are, call or text that hotline we gave you a second ago. This is critical. We need to know where you are. Not only do we need to know because of assignments, but we also need to know for your safety. And so, are you okay? Is that why you're running late? Talk to us. Keep the conversation going. In particular, South by is very stringent this year on people abusing the badges that they've been given and all of the rights that come with it. So unfortunately, we're not able to be very lenient on this. If you're more than 30 minutes late, your badge is going to be suspended, and you're going to have to go to Volunteer Central to handle turning it back on, explaining what's going on, all of that. And that's fairly strict. If you are late a second time, your badge is going to be deactivated, and you are going to be removed from the crew. And again, we don't mean to be hard asses about this, but we've got over 100 people we're trying to wrangle between crew chiefs, shift leads, photographers, and we've got venues galore. We need your help in doing this. As crew chiefs, as shift leads, we do everything we can to make this an amazing festival for you, and the thing we need from you is to be on time. I am perpetually 5 to 10 minutes late in my life, perpetually. And I have to make changes for the festival. You just have to. If for some reason you don't show up, you're a flake, period. You have not contacted us, you don't show up, you are removed from the crew immediately, and your badge is deactivated. So, we take this very seriously. All right, so enough with the seriousness. Let's move on to something better. Okay, we have a new room. For those of you that have been here in the past, you know that tiny little glorified closet we had before. We don't have that any longer. We actually have a nice room now. So, we all know where the convention center is located. So next door to it is the regular Hilton. That is not where we are located. Do not go there. We are, however, just down the way over here at the Hilton Garden Inn. That's right. And that seems like it would be very logical, doesn't it? Yeah. It's not. It's not logical at all. And because it's not very logical, we actually put together a little video to help show exactly where you need to go. So fingers crossed that this video works for us. We have not really had good luck with it yet, but hold on, let's just try it out. Okay.
Okay, and yeah, so it may have been a little choppy on your end, so we will actually have the link available for you so that you'll be able to go watch it again, so you can kind of get that feel for where you're going again. So I'd like to also thank Miss Rita and her husband for putting this together for us. Thank you, thank you. And I'd like to answer a question that came across. The 30-minute check-in is before your shift, not your assignment. Your assignment has nothing to do with the check-in time frame. It is only during your shift. It is 30 minutes prior to your shift. And we'll talk about the difference between shifts and assignments in a little bit, but just so we're clear on it, you have to check in. It ends 30 minutes before your shift starts. Okay, so as you saw, we have a giant new room. We were under the impression that it was going to have windows. It did not, but it does have an epic amount of whiteboards, which means we're going to be able to put pictures everywhere. The thing about the room is that it's your sanctuary. This is where you go to get away from South by. This is where you go to, yes, we have had impromptu meditation sessions. You're going to charge batteries, get on the internet, talk to everybody else, get a cup of coffee, whatever you need to do. That's what the room is for. It's open from 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight. The thing you have to remember, though, is we're going to be sharing this year with sponsorship and Wire Image. Wire Image, they take the pictures. A few minutes later, their editors are putting them up online. The editors are going to be in the room with us, and they need quiet. So this is actually going to be a quiet space. So what we're going to need is one end of the room will be a quiet zone. the other end is a socializing zone. So there may be times where, you know, we'll ask you guys to keep it down, but for the most part, it's a big enough room. You should be able to be fine. We do not have the ability to store anything in the room safely. If you choose to leave something in the room, that is on you. It is at your own risk. And poor Rita knows this firsthand. She's had equipment go missing from the room. If you're not there by midnight to collect your stuff, then it's going to be locked in the room overnight. So just bear in mind, if you want to leave something, you can, but it's at your own risk. We're also this year going to have Keurigs in the room. Those are those single cup coffee makers. We're going to have water. We might have some snacks in there. So you're welcome to bring in any of the little K-cups, the little coffee and or tea or hot chocolate kind of cups that you want to use. If you have a favorite, please bring that in to use. We do not want to have a bunch of waste from this, so we're asking that you bring your own coffee cup. If you've got a little travel-sized mug, that'd be great. But please go ahead and think about that before you pack up your suitcase. There are places to get coffee around, but why not have it free from the room? Okay, let's see. There's a question about the daily upload. That's going to come a little bit later. And same with the watermark. So those are all going to come a little bit later. So up next, we've got Earl.
A quick question on Wi-Fi access in the room, which is
yes. I didn't see that one. Yes, there will be.
And as far as the watermark goes, per our license agreement, there won't be watermarks for 3 months after. They will be given a credit, but we're not allowing people to watermark their images in the case of daily uploads.
Yep. Okay. So next up, we've got Earl McGehee, and he's going to talk to you guys about what to do during the festival.
I have to go off mute, though, to do that.
It is helpful.
But I just see a blank screen here. Next. I don't know what to say. There you go. Typical day at South by Southwest. You'll get up early. You'll fight traffic to get downtown, and if you don't get there early, you won't be able to get a parking space. Then you haul ass to the with your gear to the check-in room in the Hilton Garden Inn, so where you can get some coffee and relax for a few minutes after you check in. So then you can might have some time to do some stuff on your own. So during that day in between assignments, but your the day shifts normally end around 6 o'clock. When you need to remove your T-shirt before you do anything else, you can't wear that crew that crew T-shirt when you're not on duty. But that's when you earn your keep, your badge, your perk is when you do that after you get off shift at 6. So you go out partying and get some music. Even during interactive, there's usually some music going somewhere, and there are parties going all over. So, and expect the traffic to be bad when you go home. And then when you get home at 2 a.m., you'll need to back your memory cards and charge your batteries and clean the beer off your camera, and then get a couple hours sleep before you wake up and start again. Or if you're on the night shift, it's just reversed. You need to still get home downtown early in the morning, or else you won't be able to get a parking space anywhere near. But you can come in early when you're on the night shift so that you can see the panels. And even during music, there's some really good panels going on and a lot of famous people around to run into, and there's films going all the time as well. So when it gets ready for your shift that night, you need to put your T-shirt on and check in, of course, 30 minutes before your shift starts. And you need to, especially with music, you need to get to your assignments really early, like typically an hour before the showcase starts. You need to be there so you'll be one of the first ones in line so you can get up front. Most of these small clubs don't have areas reserved for the press up next to the stage. They don't have a pit. So if you don't get there early, you're going to have trouble getting your pictures from the back of the room. So, and then all this showcases end about 2 a.m. So there's always a huge traffic jam at 2 o'clock in the morning on music nights with everybody leaving at the same time trying to get home. So you get home, say, around 3 o'clock, and then you still got to back up your memory cards, charge your batteries, clean the beer off your camera again. Does this sound familiar? And get those 2 hours of sleep before you start the next day. So as you can see, it's going to be a long day for you. So you don't want to carry all the equipment you own around with you all day long. Keep just the minimum stuff you're going to need. This is a fairly reasonable minimum kit in this picture here, and it's itemized out here. So you might, if you have 2 lenses, you might have both those lenses, but you don't need to take every lens you own typically. If you have a wide angle and normal and a telephoto lens or a zoom that covers those ranges, you should be good. I see a lot of first timers taking a big bag with everything they own in it, and that bag's going to be awfully heavy by the end of the day. And if you leave that bag in a corner while you're shooting a panel, it might not be there when you get back. Every year we have some people lose stuff because they got tired of carrying that big bag around and stashed it somewhere, and it disappeared. So don't expect, just don't bring everything you own. Please. You will regret it if you do, or you won't do it the second day. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, seriously, we'll have people come in, sorry Earl, just thinking about like people coming in with their tripods and light kits and light stands and all this stuff, and like very, very quickly they realize that it's just not at all feasible to carry that around. At most, people will carry a monopod.
You're not going to need your macro lens, you're not going to need your super wide angle fisheye and all that kind of stuff, or those just, and you're not going to need, zooms and primes and all that stuff. Don't just try to guess what you're going to need, or ask some of the crew chiefs or something to go over your equipment. You can go over that. Sunday is a good time to do that, to ask us about what you might need or what you don't need. So keep it to a minimum so you can survive the day. So, and this is back to one of the earlier questions. A shift is that 8-hour time period, just like if you were working in a factory or something that you worked, and you've already got your shift assignments now, so you know whether you're working day or night shift and what days you're working. So that's your shift, and that's what you need to check in for early. So it doesn't matter when your assignment is, you will typically have 3 assignments during a shift, and those assignments might not be for several hours after your shift starts, but you've got to check in before your shift starts so we know you're there, and so we can get a hold of you if we need you to shoot something that you weren't originally assigned, because there's always people that get sick and don't come and stuff, and we have to scrounge up somebody else to cover the stuff for them. So we need to know you're there when the shift starts, or else you will be counted as a flake if we can't find you at the time of your shift start. So assignments, you won't get those till typically the day before or even the night before your shift starts. So assignments, we're still waiting to get all those from South by Southwest. So assignments are specific things like it'll say go to ACC room ABC and shoot Fred Smith doing such and such a speech at from 10 to 11 o'clock. That's an assignment, and you'll get typically 3 of those per shift. But you have to, and you'll have specific details about who to contact and what to shoot and stuff like that. You'll get a spreadsheet every night that lists all of the assignments for that shift for you and other people. So don't confuse that. You can't wait till your assignments start to check in. You have to be there when the shift starts, not when your assignment starts. Okay. Before your first shift of South by, you'll need to go by, this is different this year, you go by the normal registration area to pick up your badge. So you do not need to go to Volunteer Central. So those hours for picking up your badges are on the website, and you can start picking them up Thursday before Interactive starts Friday if you're working Interactive. If you're working just music, you have to wait till Tuesday to pick up your badge there. But I think you have to have an ID with you. You'll have to have a picture ID with you. You pick up your badge as well. So then when you're and if you're smart, you'll upload a headshot to this South by Southwest social site before you go up there to pick up your badge. So they'll use that headshot instead of taking a terrible one in the convention center there. And note that this is not the headshot you uploaded to the volunteer site where you registered. This is a different site that you have, so you have to upload it to this site if you want it to use your picture. Since you're a photographer, we're assuming you have a good picture of yourself. And this needs to be a headshot. This is not a picture of you, doing something. Then while you're there in Registration Central, there'll be a table somewhere with a sign on it for the press. And that's where you'll need to go to that table after you get your badge. You'll need to go to that press area in the Volunteer Central Hall. I mean, not, excuse me, in the registration hall, and that's where you get your camera tagged. So they'll verify your name's on the list, and they'll put a tag on your camera, and you have to have that tag on your camera to be able to get into most places to take pictures. So that's an important step. And then you can come to the photo crew room over in the Trinity room in the Hilton Garden Inn, and we'll give you your official shirts and some other stuff to help you get through. But you need to do those other things before you ever come to the Trinity room. Yes.
Sorry, Earl, real quick, I just noticed that I don't think you had spoke about the standby list, and I know that Maggie kind of mentioned it, or actually Jonathan sort of mentioned it, but I didn't know if you wanted to.
Well, it's just I mentioned that if there's always people don't show up for a shift or people get sick or whatever, so we're often looking for somebody else to shoot things that they weren't assigned to. So anytime you're in the area and want to shoot, check in with our room in the Trinity room with the shift leads and let them know you're around, and they'll have your name ready if they have something else comes up, or if we get a new assignment in at the last minute or something, we can find you and get you the shoot.
Just to add to that, Earl, what we're going to have this year, which we have not had in the past, is we're going to have a login that's online. We're not going to have the spreadsheets any longer where you have to go in and find your name and sign next to it. We're actually going to have an online form that you just type your name into, and that's how you check in for your shift. So on there, it has the ability to choose whether you're checking in for your shift or whether you want to let us know that you're available for the standby list, which means you're not on shift, but hey, I'm downtown. If you need me, I'd like to take some pictures. Your name goes on the list. If we need you, we'll contact you. You probably won't get called. However, it's happened, and we do need people. So it'll give you that opportunity to let us know you're there and you're ready to work. It does not replace checking in for your shift if you happen to be on the next one. So don't mistake that. But it does let us know that while you're down there, you're willing to do some work. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I already said the assignments will be mailed to you typically the day before your shift. You'll get the assignments for that shift. And you need to, I think I already covered all this, so see, I didn't memorize the slides ahead of time either. But you need to get there early for your slides, because if there's a big crowd, you got to make sure you get in. So you can't necessarily go to the head of the line, or if the room's full, they might not let you in if it's reached its capacity and the fire department won't let anybody else in. So you need to be there early for your assignments to make sure you get in early and get a good seat up front. So
one thing I just wanted to really highlight was to make sure that they check their email before their shift begins, not just like the night before, but even as you're walking to the room. Like, if you've got a smartphone, just check into your email real quick, because it is not often, but it does happen sometimes where there are very, very last-minute changes, and you will have gotten something at 4 a.m. from us with a new schedule. So just so that you are aware of that, it does happen. So be sure to just keep that phone handy and stay on top of your email.
And text messages too, because during the day, during your shift, if something comes up, we typically send a text message to tell you that you need to, this event's been moved to a different room or something like that, if we get some last-minute updates.
And can I just chime in also and just say that part of being on this crew is that we are hyper communicators. It's really important to be in touch with us, acknowledge that you've gotten a text from us so we know that you got it. We're also keeping track of 80+ people, so it's really important for us to know that you're on board, that we have you, that you've gotten the text, that you're communicating with us. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. So when each of your shot, and they're going to talk about this later in the breakout sessions, but there's a cheat sheet that you'll have access to and be mailed to you or whatever that lists the required shots for each different type of event. So you need to make sure you get those. Then you have some freedom to try and get some interesting shots. And then you're always looking for atmosphere shots there, especially the first few days of the festival. South by is looking for those atmosphere shots. Happy people having fun, pictures that will make people want to come to the South by Southwest Festival. And then we have the I don't. It's not on the text here, but there's a big pink button there. I think there's something new. I assume this is where we talk about that. This year, for the first time, we're going to have the contact person in a site. When you go to, we always talk about finding the point person in a site to ask them permission or find out what you need to do or whatever. Well, this year, the point person that the photographer needs to look for to talk to at each site is supposed to have a big hot pink button on their lanyard, so you can find the person that's your contact there to confirm, whether you're allowed to use flash or not and things like that. So watch for the pink buttons.
Earl, I just wanted to chime in real quick to answer a couple of the questions.
Yes, thank you.
So one is about the photo crew room being open on Thursday. Maggie and I and Earl will all be in the photo room on Thursday setting it up. Earl works EDU, so he will have already been in that room for this next coming week, but it won't be set up for the big crew yet. We are hoping to have all of the shirts and everything by Thursday, but it's possible that it won't be until Friday morning, but we're doing our best to get them in earlier. And what if we have to work during the day and have a night shift? Well, you will, just have to go with the flow as much as you can. I'm sure that there's a lot of other people who can chime in on sort of how to survive that. But, a night shift definitely, especially if it's during music, you will not get out of there until 2, 3 a.m. I don't know if any of the other crew chiefs want to chime in on that, but that's one of the just downsides of doing it as far as having to work during that schedule. Most people just take the week off.
Yeah. Photos are due April 1st. So we'll send an email out after the festival, and there's a page on the website that photocrew.org that tells you all the details about that. But you only can turn in JPEG files. We'll give you a flash drive during the festival sometime that you turn them in on. They all have to be, you need to adjust them for exposure and white balance and noise, but no cropping, no retouching of any kind. And when you create the JPEG files, you want to reduce their size so to no more than 4,000 pixels on the side, and typically about 80% quality on the JPEG, so they won't be so huge. Because some of the cameras now have such big files, that slows everything down at South by when they get thousands of pictures they have to process in a hurry during and after the festival. So no, you can't allow any watermarks or text added to any of these pictures. But South by is good about giving you credit for the pictures in the caption. So if you label them correctly per the instructions on that page, they'll credit you. And if you ever see one of your pictures that's not credited, you can contact South by, or we'll give you a mechanism for that, and we'll get them to correct it. We do that often if they somehow credit them wrong or forget to credit them. So, and we will send out an invite if you don't have to, but we'll have a party for the people locally. We'll meet up at some club somewhere, so you can turn in your thumb drives after the festival on the 1st or right around the 1st. So, but if you don't want to come to the party or can't, you can either mail them into South by, or you can take them by the South by offices downtown. So, is that everything?
We're gonna meet at a club, Earl. Last year we just well, I guess we had the Elysium party, and then we also met at Whole Foods up north. So yeah, it's pretty chill.
So we don't know where we'll meet this year, but we'll meet somewhere. Be more fun than meeting on the sidewalk in front of the South by offices. So, a couple of questions we want to get before. I don't know. We already talked about the daily upload, but that we don't have all the details for that yet. And everybody will have access to this. There's a question about basic gear to take, and that picture in the slide previously is a good list of the basic, most essential things to take. So, and that's itemized. Anything you'll all get a copy of the slide deck, or you have access to one, so you can get it from there to see that.
I think what James is specifically asking is gear. I think it's more gear related. So yes, what you're saying is, let me see, where did that question go? Oh, there it is.
I just
based on the gear.
Yeah.
What is the basic kit? Body, prime, mid-range, zoom, almost perfect in flash. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So just you really want a fast lens as much as possible. There are definite pros and cons to bringing a long lens. Some people, it's awesome for you to get a long lens when you're at the back of a venue somewhere because then you can actually get up close. But those things are flippin' heavy and really expensive, and it sucks if they break and get beer put on them and all that stuff. So it depends on your comfort level. I personally always carry just a decent wide zoom and a good prime for portraits, like an 85 is great at a no. I think mine is like a 1.8, and so it's like an 85 1.8. So that's I can just switch those two out when I need to do a quick portrait of someone versus shooting a band and a whole panel and all of that. That's just me, but both of those are pretty light, and I don't worry about them getting messed up. I know Earl carries a long lens around, but he's a bigger guy and stronger than I am.
Well, it depends on where I'm going too. If I'm shooting some of the panels in big rooms, I have a 70 to 200 on a full frame camera, which would be like about a 50 to 130 or something on a quad frame camera. That's what I use the most. A lot of times in big panels where you can't get up close and you get better angles, standing up off to the side. So
yeah.
And if you're in a big room, if you shoot at the ACL theater or something, you need a long lens there often. But in most of the small clubs, when you're shooting music, it's more important to have a fast lens, and you're not going to be you're going to be standing right on top of them on the stage. You need a wide angle lens that's fast is most important for most of the music in most of the clubs there. So if you only have one lens, I would use something that's like the 24 to 70 on a full frame camera, which would be like a 18 to 55 or something like that on a crop frame camera. So you could shoot south by with just that one zoom lens if need be, or something in that range.
That's how I did it.
Yep.
For most of the years I shot, it was on the crop sensor 1755. Most of the time I wouldn't even carry a flash. I just carry my camera with that lens on it, and that covered. There's maybe twice in 4 years probably that I was like, oh man, I wish I had such whatever, but you could totally do it with that.
And it's a lot cheaper. The other alternative I recommend to people, you don't have to have a big, expensive, heavy. If you want a long lens, you can buy like a 135 prime lens or something like that, or a 90 millimeter if you have a crop frame. That's a lot smaller and lighter and cheaper. And if you have that 18 to 55 or 24 to 70 zoom, and you have a lens that's in the 100 to 150 millimeter length, then that will get you in a lot of places, and that's a lot. You can get those that are pretty fast, reasonably cheap. So that's a real good second lens, I think.
One thing that I just thought of too, that's probably a good tip, and I will probably be doing that this year, is bring a point and shoot. Because when you're not on assignment, you may or may not want to bring around all of your gear. Amy Price is notorious for this. Any of you that have been in the photo room with her, she'll come in with some amazing kick-ass shots of stuff that was not her assignment. She was not allowed to bring in an SLR to it, so she just, brought in a little point and shoot that was a great little mirrorless camera, and so that kept her kind of going. So it's something also to think about, especially when, because there's a lot of times where you will not be allowed to bring in your camera. So that's kind of how I got into trouble with getting some stuff stolen. So just a little tip. Are we done with answering questions for now? I think so. All right, so we're going to move along. Expectations. Okay, so some of the basics, and I kind of feel like the mom right now. I'm going to have to just, these are sort of the rules and the kind of the, not so much fun stuff. But we've said it a million times, check-in times are non-negotiable. It's mainly because we are really honestly relying on you. Already we've had a good 10 people drop off of the crew, having to change schedules around and fit in new shifts to make sure everything is covered. We're working very, very closely with South by, specifically on this whole ratio of how many photographers to how many assignments, and so we are really kind of shaping this entire promise to South by of what we can deliver based on everyone's commitment to be part of this crew. So, you know, if things aren't covered, then you know, it just kind of reflects badly on the photo crew back to South by Southwest. Obviously, we're all volunteers, so it's not like, you know, it's a job or anything, but we are asking you to, you know, behave and treat it in a professional capacity and treat it kind of with that level of I don't know, for lack of a better word, respect. So because of that, South by in general just has a no tolerance, zero tolerance attitude, but theirs is kind of from a different perspective. They're dealing with a lot of spring breakers and people who just go and get wasted and all this other stuff. So they have this whole volunteer central area specifically to handle, you know, flakes and people who are late and all of that. So they have more of a zero tolerance attitude than even we do. So they're also having to. They're part of our reason for being so strict about it as well. Also, respecting others' assignments, which is just going back to what Jonathan said at the beginning. You know, it's not a great experience for the South by presenters to come and see, you know, 12 people with a South by shirt pointing their cameras at them. Also, everybody kind of takes their assignments. You know, there's a pride in that, like, oh, I was assigned to this thing, and they want to be the ones to potentially get their images published. And so it's really just about recognizing that it's, you know, we don't want a shark pit. We really want to give everybody an opportunity to have a positive experience, have a chance to get their stuff picked up by South by, and really we want to foster helping each other do that as opposed to trying to, you know, kind of steal things from each other. Not that we have it happen a lot. For the most part, we've got an awesome crew, but it has happened enough that we need to, you know, just call it to your attention and just remind people. Something that we're asking this year is for you to actually text a picture to the shift lead if for some reason someone is in a place they're not supposed to be. A classic place that this happens is at Stubbs. Stubbs is obviously one of the most visible locations for some of the highly anticipated bands that come through. If you put on your shirt, you have access to go in there, and the security there knows. They have no idea if you're allowed to be there or not. They'll see the photo crew shirt and they'll say, go on in. But you're going to be bumping out the person who's actually assigned to it, because especially for huge bands, they're going to limit the number of people in there. And so we really just need to respect that it's not your turn and let whoever else is up for that assignment do what they need to do. Go and shoot, you know, but shoot behind the barrier. Shoot outside of the photography area. Like Wendy said earlier, stay in communication. Keep your phone handy. This is huge. One of the things, you know, we even put in your as a recommendation for your kit. Have extra batteries for your phone. Have a phone charger. I don't know what it is with South by, but those of you that have worked it before, like something happens where your phone just drains like in half the time that you normally would expect it to. So if you've got a phone that lasts all day, expect it to only last half a day, even though you may not even be using it. For some reason, it just sucks the phones dry. So like there's been times when I've had 2 and 3 batteries that I've brought to South by just to make sure that I'm able to keep my phone going.
So to that really quick, for those of you who have phones where you have push notifications or anything like that, like if it's in the background trying to find out what's going on Facebook or what tweets are going on, if it's constantly in the background trying to update this information, then it's constantly looking for a signal which is eating your battery. So if you have the ability to turn those things off and just basically have it down to your basics of phone and text, only using those services when you need them, you're going to keep your battery a lot longer. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I picked up, I don't know if there's pictures or not, but I can, like, you can see my face. But I picked up one of those, I don't know, it's like 5,000 something or other battery, little portable battery that I just keep in my kit now. And it will charge my phone, and I've got one of those Android phones. It'll charge it at least 2 times. So that saved me last year. Obviously, you guys, your shirts now specifically say, like, you are official South by, photographers. You are being raised to this level of professionalism, and you are, this elevated media kind of representative for South by now. So we really just need you to represent South by professionally when you're wearing that shirt. Meaning not getting drunk, not partaking in other things that might be offered, especially at some of the rap shows or whatever. Just treat it like if you were at a job. Obviously, have fun when you're not wearing your shirt, but when you're wearing it, just make sure that no one can kind of, report back potentially. And it wouldn't even necessarily be us. It could be someone at a venue. It could be, there's lots and lots of eyes that are going to be on all of us. So just keep that in mind. And then also, again, should go without saying, but just be nice. Sometimes people will don their photography badge, and they think that they can cut the line, and they think they can say, kind of get this attitude of like, you don't know who I am, and I need to get in here and get to be boisterous and rude. That will get you nowhere fast. In fact, it could potentially get you not allowed to get into your assignment, because once you're out in the field, yes, the shift leads can help you, and the crew chiefs can help you with things like, shoot, they're asking for credentials and I can't get in. But we can't do a whole lot if someone is just like, you're out of here, you're ejected because you're being a douche. So just, kindness will get you everywhere. Next. You want me to do it, Maggie? Okay. Avoiding off-limit areas, green rooms, the press suite, photo pits. When we say photo pit, we mean any area up front where the photographers are. So photo pit does not just mean music. If you're not assigned to be there, stay out. That includes obviously music panels, keynotes, everything. So just reiterating what I said a minute ago. Red carpets are also major no-no. Most red carpets are related to the film festival. The guys who run the film festival are so stressed out. They are dealing with, A-listers who they have had to woo to come to South by to have their show, premiered there. And they are really treating those guys, as the VIPs that they are, and they have so strategically decided on who is going to be at that red carpet. They all have nameplates there. If you're not allowed to be there, they will literally scream at you to leave, and we will hear about it. So stay away from red carpets if you're not assigned. Most of you will not be assigned. There's another team of photographers that will be covering most of that stuff. But just as a warning. And of course, any of these actions can result in immediate removal from the crew, which is harsh. We have only had this I've been a crew chief now for 5 years. I've only seen this happen a handful of times, literally like maybe 5 or 6 times. So it's something most people really do respect, but the people who manage these areas, the green rooms and the press suite and all of that, they are all giving us this direction to relay to our photographers. So it isn't just us coming down on you. It's really at the request of all of these South by people too. Just 1 second. Val, shut the door. You can hear my husband talking in Portuguese. Okay, so this is one of the slides that I know is near and dear to Jonathan's heart. So he'll probably chime in here on some of this. Things that will exclude you from the crew. And this actually does happen, unfortunately, almost every year. There will be something that will occur where someone will not be invited back, so to speak. Flaking the shift, which we've already talked about, which just means you have been in no communication with us whatsoever. It's immediate removal from the crew I mean, just because we have no idea where you're at, if you're going to be around, and it happens. It happens every single year. Next. Coming down with the flu during music. The flu, quote unquote. We get a lot of Saturday night, I'm really sick and I can't shoot my assignments, and you know, it's just again, it's one of those things where we're just relying on you to be there for us and to, you know, fulfill your obligation and commitment to being part of the crew. There are so many fun things out there, and believe me, all of us even want to be doing it, but we all just have to, you know, be responsible. Swapping assignments. This is, we know that people do it, but we prefer you to not do it. We need to know where you're at, and if you're swapping your assignment, we can't identify where you are supposed to be. Especially with the Red River incident that happened this last year, which any of you who know anything about South by, and you know, whether it was you were here or not, I'm sure it was, you know, it was all over the news. Your crew chief team was up very late trying to call as many people as we could to make sure that everyone was safe, and you know, we just need to know we're relying on you to be where you say you're going to be based on the assignments that we're giving you. So if for some reason there's an extenuating circumstance, you've been assigned to the same, I don't know, thing 4 times in a row and we missed it, let us know. If you know, there's we've had people who are like, I can't be around, you know, particular, I don't feel safe or whatever. Like, we're not tyrants. We want to be able to help you feel comfortable with your assignments, but just be in communication with us.
So one thing to just chime in on that one really quick, when you turn in your assignments, South by knows who's assigned to what. So let's say they want to go find pictures from some music event. They're going to look at the assignment sheet and figure out who is assigned to that. Then they're going to go to your pictures and look for those pictures. And if for some reason you traded, those pictures are not going to show up. And the person who did take them, they're not going to know to look there. So both of you are now out the opportunity to have your pictures published by South by. So that's another thing that comes along with your assignments as well. So if we change things around, we need to know so that we can actually change it on the sheets, so South by knows who's shooting which event.
Good point. I'll let Jonathan take this last note. Oh, no, one more after that. Sorry. Going into any off-limit areas, we just talked about that.
Okay, so last note, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, probably the worst thing that you can do in our eyes is not turning in your photos, because it really boils down to everything that you're doing. You know, all the hoops you jump through and all the things that we get and all the access and everything else. You know, you're basically exchanging all of that for the photos that you take for the assignments that we give out. And in a lot of cases, you're the only person that we assign to go get those shots. We're counting on you to get those shots. If you get those shots but never turn them in, or maybe you just didn't get the shots or whatever. If for whatever reason we don't get photos, especially if you just never give them to us, you never give the drive of photos to us, that is as bad as it gets as far as we're concerned. I mean, that's a sort of a violation of the most fundamental thing that we're trying to do here, which is get shots of the event. So please don't be that person that does that. We fortunately don't have, it doesn't happen a ton. But amazingly, it does happen, and if for some reason you couldn't, your drive crashed or whatever, you got to tell us and talk to us about it, because if that, basically we reach out, we try every way we can to contact people if we don't get their photos, and we have people that just sort of try to vanish from the face of the earth, and they get kicked out of the Facebook group. They'll never volunteer for South by ever again, and they also get a bad reputation as far as a photographer and a professional, as somebody who didn't quite live up to the expectations. So just be aware of that. I know none of you guys are going to do that though, right? It's going to be amazing, and nobody's going to have to worry about that. So, it's just such a heavy line. Just a quick. I was going to say, just a real quick. We've got about 36 minutes or less. So, and it's still got a lot to cover, so we probably should zip through as quick as we can.
Okay, I'll be zippy. And thanks everyone for hanging in there and for being a part of this tonight. I just wanted to address a couple of questions that also just came in before I get into the fun stuff here. One question about daily uploads. Again, we're going to have more information about that. I think South by Southwest is working with having particular themes every day. But in terms of RAW versus JPEG for a daily upload, it's sort of like a quick fix for South by, similar to what Wire Image might do, and that is a JPEG. So it's not about shooting in RAW, converting it overnight, and doing it the next day. A daily upload actually happens that day. It's current. It's going to be used for social media. So you know, you can also shoot RAW and JPEG together, and I would have the JPEG possibility for a daily upload. And again, we're going to have more information about that, and we will share that information probably after Sunday, after our meeting on Sunday.
There might just be a point of clarification too. You'll never turn a RAW image into South by for anything. You'll never ever do that. It'll always be JPEG.
But you're welcome to shoot RAW. You just have to convert it to JPEG per the standards on our website.
Yes, shooting RAW is actually preferred. I always shoot RAW. It's the only way to.
Right, because then you'll go into Lightroom and.
And also be aware with this daily upload stuff. Like we said before, crew chiefs are going to be in the room in the Hilton Garden Inn, and we will have a computer there, and you can come by and bring us your card, and we'll sit down with you, and we'll help you pick out the picture and help you convert them or whatever. We'll be there. That'll be part of what we'll do to help you. We can help you get that daily upload uploaded during the day while you're there. So we'll have Lightroom on a PC to help you do stuff like that during the day.
Super, thanks. And then one more question I'm going to answer. Terry, I feel you on the getting shirts in youth sizes. And actually, I literally have turned my Carhartt jacket that was given to me last year as a small. I turned it into a dress. You'll see it during South by Southwest. So there's not going to be youth sizes, but I think that they are taking sizes like women's and men's small. So there might be a little upgrade of shirts this year, and I hope that it does fit better and not like a dress. Okay.
Quickly, too, I want to address James Welch's question on shirts and when to wear them. Yes, you will take off your shirt and wear another shirt. So everyone pretty much dresses in layers. When you're not shooting an assignment and you are going into another event, you'll want to switch out your shirt. If you're just wandering around doing atmosphere, you can continue wearing your shirt. But if you are kind of going in between things, definitely you'll want to remove your shirt if you're not on assignment.
And also, you don't have to bring two shirts. You can turn your shirt inside out and put it back on and wear it that way when you're not on assignment or something.
Cool. Thanks for that clarification. Okay. On to eating, because we all need to, and we all expect you to feed yourselves and stay hydrated. So fortunately this year our photography room is actually at one of the main places, the main place where we feed you, which is the Hilton Garden Inn. So that first entrance in the video where Maggie's saying, no, don't enter here, that is actually the entrance for the main food hall for South by Southwest. And just to back up, we are all going to get a meal badge, a different lanyard this year. It's different than how it worked last year. And so if you're new to the crew, just know that you'll be getting an additional lanyard that's just for food this year. And the QR code on the badge is only valid for the days that you work. So you are always going to get a meal for your shift. And you could decide when you're going to take that meal. In addition to the Hilton Garden Inn, there's going to be other options downtown where you can also use your meal badge, like Jimmy John's and Cilantro and Austin Pizza and Wahoo's, Jimmy John's, like that. And the shift leads will always have a list of like where, and people talk, and we'll get the idea of like who doesn't have a line and what place is really yummy that you should try and things like that. Next. when you're not working, this is really important, people. Have fun. The reason that you're doing this festival at all and making this major commitment is because we work hard and we play hard. And we want you to enjoy the festival for real. Really enjoy the rest of the festival, but not with your volunteer photo crew shirt on. Just make sure you're not wearing that. You know, if you're going to be a member of the audience, then be a member of the audience. You can still bring your camera in if they allow an SLR, but just, you know, wear street clothes. Don't go into the photography area. You know, again, find out what the rules are for that venue. If you can shoot, go for it. And also, many times that you might shoot as an audience member, not in the pit, you might get an excellent shot that might be used anyway. So even if you're off, if you're not working, you might still get great shots that may be published. But just respect the rules.
Actually, Wendy, just to chime in on that, you're not to submit anything. I mean, the rule is that you're not to submit, ideally, for something that someone else has been assigned to, because that's kind of not fair to the person who was assigned to it. People do it, and it has happened, but it's also caused a little bit of, like, we'll see, you know, some notes and emails and whatnot from people that are like, hey, I saw someone else's thing in there, and I wasn't, you know, I was assigned to that, but their thing got picked up. So it's discouraged to shoot and turn in, at least, things that are from assignments that you haven't been given. Okay. But shoot for your own portfolio, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that one way to get around that is that once you, and we'll give you the nomenclature and how to turn in your photos later. I know it's a lot of information right now, but one thing that you can do is have like a miscellaneous folder and put shots that you think are good that weren't your assignment or something like that, just so they could also see them. If a PR representative or a band manager asks you for your photos, you don't have the right to give them to them. Just immediately refer them to Jamie at South by Southwest. That's another name that can just be in your contacts. As per your license agreement, we have changed it. We've actually improved it. It used to be 6 months. Now it's a 3-month license agreement. So that just means that South by owns these for the first 3 months, no watermarks, no anything, and then after the 3 months, you're able to use them for your own professional purposes. But if somebody at a venue asks you about what you're shooting right then, just refer them to Jamie. Stay safe. Travel with someone if possible. It kind of gets gritty downtown late at night. If something happens, absolutely take care of the situation first. But again, we like communication, so text the shift leads your status. That happened 1 year when I was actually a shift lead. One of our volunteers got punched in the face at a hip hop club, and I got that call. And he took care of himself, and then he let me know, and he also got a picture of the perpetrator, and the police were involved, and it's a whole crazy thing. Definitely take care of yourself and definitely be in communication. We've already talked about planning your transportation and parking, so you're not late for check-in. It's just not an excuse, so really take that seriously and think about that. Next. We've got resources for you. By now, you've already put this number in your phone. And our website is a wealth of, it's just a great resource. And even I still go through and read the website because there's so many great tips and tricks and facts. And rather than putting it, a question on Facebook, please look here for the answers, because we've really tried to troubleshoot a lot of this and answer this beforehand. Next, breakout sessions. So Rita and I are going to talk about this a little bit this time. Chime in, Rita. Next. These are general shooting tips, and I know that a lot of you know this, but it's also just good to reiterate. Always getting some shots of with South by Southwest branding in the background, but not all the shots, but it's just good. And South by likes to see their own signage, but you don't have to go for that specifically, but get them in some. It's also going to be referred to on the cheat sheet. Group shot.
I was just going to say, kind of think of this as a shot list, a general thing to sort of bear in mind when you're approaching any assignment. You know, is that you're gonna get a shot with the branding in the background. You're gonna try and get a shot of all the speakers or all the performers, a close up, a crowd shot. You know, so there's you know, essentially a little shot list that you're gonna set to memory somehow. I know that Earl's made a cheat sheet with this so that you can get full coverage.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times when we were reviewing, this was the first year that we actually got to review everybody's turned-in images, and in addition to some misunderstandings around how to edit and low light situations and things like that, there was also just a general lack of a full picture of the event. You know, there might have been like shooting the band, but it was almost just like the lead singer, close-up shots, you know, and 20 of those shots were turned in. And so we're just trying to remind people to just get a full, so there's full coverage of every event. So, you know, there's a wide of the whole audience with the presenters as well as close-up shots.
And for panels too, you know, you're going to shoot the entire panel and then get one of each. So, oh, and also don't crop. Think, you know, leave space around the subject. You're not the art director, you're just getting the shot, but please don't crop in post because you don't know how that might be used. For example, that shot with a lot of stage on one side or the other might be used as a cover of a magazine, and then they want to put text over in that dead space. So they will crop it if they need it, but please do not take the liberty of doing that and leave space around your subjects.
Well, and even just in shooting in your composition. So even in frame, make sure that you're leaving space around, you know, plenty of headroom, plenty of foot room, at least in some of the shots you deliver.
Right. And just going back up a couple bullets, just avoiding slow shutter speeds because you want it to be 60 or above, or it might be shaky and out of focus, and that's not going to look good. And white balance, if you can get that before you start shooting, so you're not worrying about that, and you know that it looks good. Also, we call it mic mouth or mic in the face. Just really be careful of that. Try to anticipate. If it's a singer, you know, when he takes that breath and pulls the mic away and has that moment, that's your moment, because then he's going right back in, and mic mouth just kind of loses the emotion and everything. Next.
Yeah, that's big for music as well as for panels too. So some specific tips for shooting interactive in music. You have the first 5 minutes of any interactive panel or presentation.
Or first 3 songs.
Well, hold on.
I'm
going over interactive first.
Okay.
You have first 5 minutes of interactive where you can shoot with the flash. And after that, it has to just be ambient light. So you get to go up front. I recommend going and telling the presenters, hey, I'm your official photographer. I'm here. I'm going to be shooting in front for the first 5 minutes. Is that okay with you? If they're like really nervous or distracted, give them the option to say, you know, no, I'm not comfortable with flash, and you handle it as a professional and change your settings and to get the shot. Because it's very, very distracting. And a lot of these panels, I mean, these are people who are sometimes, it's not like everybody's a big name. Sometimes they just presented some concept to South by that's cool that they want you to capture, but they're nervous, you know. So we really want to try and let them know we're part of their team, and we want to respect what's going to make them comfortable. Get the shots like we just said, you know, of them. You know, the shot list, so to speak, but also stay afterwards and get the action shots when they're talking to when the attendees are talking to the presenters. Those are sometimes the best shots because it's more of the type moments that South by is looking for, where, you know, it's the person who's like shaking someone who's really interested in what they're having to say. They're shaking their hands, they're hugging, they're engaged, they're crowded by 10 people that are all really excited. That's way more interesting than getting what could potentially be an empty room, because maybe this thing you've covered really doesn't have a lot of attendees. And so when you take a wide shot, you're like, well, this looks actually bad because nobody's here. So it's really having to be creative to try and, make it look like it was interesting and this was something that people wanted to attend. And then also at the end, and I actually do this in the beginning when I introduce them, I will say, hey, when you're done, I want to get a couple shots with you in front of the step and repeat. Sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes no, but then they know when you're getting those shots of them talking to people afterwards, they almost will use you. If they don't have a PR person, they'll almost use you as their excuse to get out, and they'll say, well, the South by photographer needs me to go now to take some photos. And so they sometimes appreciate that, and then you just go, hey, great presentation, the step and repeat is over here, let's get a few shots of you, and that's kind of a bonus for South by to get something that's an engaged photograph that's actually more of a portrait in front of their step and repeat.
And a lot of what Rita just spoke about also is for music. So for panels, it's 5 minutes getting in there. For music, the rule is you can shoot the first 3 songs with flash, and then afterwards.
No flash. Don't ever use flash for music. You just get the first 3 songs.
You get the first 3 songs. I'm sorry, no flash. And that's why you have to use ambient light as much as possible. Also, Rita and I were just speaking about this today. Chimping, reviewing your shots is it's just not professional, and it can actually annoy the musicians if they see you looking at your shots and doing that. Just shoot a bunch. Just go for it. You know that there's gonna be shots that are winners and then shots that you're not going to use, but it's actually bad for your media card, and it's just not professional to do. And I know I have that habit too, and it's just something that we all have to work on. So just take that to heart. Make sure that you arrive early so you can get into the venue. That's really important, just to have yourself adjusted and in there, and introduce yourself to the house manager if you can, or in the showcase manager, but they will see your shirt. They know that you're coming, and they might be very busy, but if you can and it's easy, please do that. Also, a question that came in, I just want to address from James about how many shots to turn in per assignment. I think it's 25, correct? Jonathan, Rita?
Yeah, 15 to 25.
15 to 25 per assignment. Your best ones.
It's a target. Don't turn
and
in.
From 15 to 25, does everyone have that?
And what South by has said is that they want to have more options than less. So if, it's not like there's going to be a problem if you turn in more than 25. They really would rather have, more options to choose from. So be generous, but they don't want to see, 50 to 150, for every single assignment.
And also, Zeev, that's a good reminder. Thank you, Zeev. Just what a step and repeat is. For those that don't know, a step and repeat is...
We have that in the next, if you keep going.
Oh. Stay tuned.
Can I say also when you're talking about the minimum number of shots, if you're assigned to shoot a showcase, that's not 15 to 25 shots for the whole showcase. That should be 15 or 25 shots for each band in the showcase.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. So your one assignment might be a showcase that has 5 or 6 bands in it, and you want the 25 shots per band.
Okay, so we're getting just to help us speed along, because I'm getting nudged by Maggie. For shooting music, just get in a position, hold it, find a buddy. Ideally, we try to send 2 people to as many music things as we can. So you guys, buddy up and help each other take bathroom breaks and not lose your spots in front of the band when there's a bunch of people coming in there. But at the same time, try and capture as many angles as you can. Work with the other photographers, and when we say other photographers, we mean not just our crew, because there are going to be just a ton of other photographers. So, treat them as colleagues, work with them, let them get their shots. For the most part, they're all very professional too. Again, make sure that you're getting full wide shots. Use flash when needed, meaning it's like a pitch dark performance and there is no way you're going to be able to even see a face. That's really the only time flash is recommended. For the most part, you want to really be using the ambient light. Get crowd shots with the band, engaging with them. South by loves those kind of shots. So, you know, go all the way to the side of the stage and get that shot where, you know, the guys are standing on the monitors and looking down at the crowd while the crowd has their hands up and everything. So instead of just trying to focus on that lead singer, show the whole story. And then shoot all the bands in the venue. That is really a point where people get very confused because they'll see potentially on their assignment sheet that there's one band listed, but really what we're asking you to do is be there for the entire showcase. And then avoid overshooting, because especially music, it's interesting, it's exciting, but in the end you're going to only hurt yourself when you try and do all of your post-production work and you find out that you just took 100 shots and they're all basically the same thing. So just be very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Efficient.
Yeah, efficient. That's good. Step and repeats. See that picture with the eco sign back there? That's basically a step and repeat. It comes from you know, the terminology is like from Hollywood when they have these huge red carpets where there's a million different outlets there to take photos of the celebrities, and so they take a step and then they take a picture and then they repeat with the next person. So it's literally meant to be this thing where a person is walking down a red carpet. In our case, it's just a backdrop. For the most part, I think the Paramount is the only place that does a full step and repeat. These things can get busy because although the Paramount has the full red carpet with multiple people assigned to specific spots, none of the other ones really have that, and so you'll be fighting for your place in front of that talent. So you have very little time to get a good shot. So ideally, get there early and get all your settings dialed in. Have someone stand there and say, hey, let me do a couple test shots with you, because the step and repeats, especially the yellow ones, are very weird to white balance against, and so you just want to get that set in, because once you pull someone in front of that step and repeat, you'll get maybe a minute. Do not sit there and like fiddle with your settings and be like, hold on, let me get one more. There's no way to kill an authentic, like, engaged smile with them than to sit there and have them wait for you to get your stuff right. So you know, just be prepared ahead of time. Also, get their names with the badge. So take photos of the badge. South by really wants that. Most people will say, hold on, let me take off my badge, and they'll actually remove it. But South by wants to see those badges. And then, again, go through the shot list. Make sure you're getting full body, including their feet, mid shot, and a head shot. And then literally, if they're not looking at you, if you're fighting with a bunch of different people, say, hey, look to your left, look to your right, or wherever you're at to get them to look in your lens. Next. Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay. Atmosphere is important, and South by Southwest is always interested in having people engaged in the festival, people that are happy and laughing and interacting with sponsors, meaning also drinking the Monster drink or having the bag of chips or whatever it is. They definitely want to see crowds, but they don't want to see the wraparound lines that there can be at South by Southwest. That there's nothing that will kill a moment like the bummer of waiting online. So try to get the crowd and the energy, but not so much the wait and the long queues. Definitely volunteers helping people are great. The volunteer t-shirts this year are purple. And a lot of South by Southwest, and even if you go through the South by Southwest website, you'll see a lot of this atmosphere ambient shots being used. And so you'll have a lot of room here for creative freedom. And there's also going to be times when you have an hour before you need to be someplace, and use that time and go and experiment and try to shoot atmosphere and try to capture these moments. And a lot of these moments might be used in the daily uploads, which we'll learn more about later. You know, the sort of like what happened today at South by Southwest. Next. Back to
All right.
Jonathan.
I'm going to go fast through this because we were running quickly out of time.
Okay.
And I want to say thank you to everybody for sticking with us because I know this is a ton of data. You're just seeing a bunch of black and white slides and hearing some disembodied voices talking to you and just kind of filling your ear with stuff. And so thank you for sticking through this thing with us and bearing with us because this is the first time we're not working with a rehearsal either. So thanks for sticking it out with us. I'll say this about low light because you'll find yourself shooting in low light situations, whether it's interactive or film, music, whatever it is. You will find yourself in some situation like, what the hell? There's no lights here at all. And so, what do you do in those situations? One thing to be aware of, and this is something I learned pretty early on too, is that if you're shooting an aperture priority, that can be a real problem. And I shoot aperture priority for almost everything I shoot, with the exception of event stuff, especially low light. So just kind of be very wary of aperture priority mode. It can get a little squirrely on you. What I typically do, what I found is very useful, and a lot of times is going actually shutter priority. That actually gives if you go shutter priority, set your camera to range its auto ISO as high as it's comfortable on your camera. That can actually give you some pretty good results because now you're basing it on how sharp the image is going to be based on the shutter speed and less about, aperture doesn't really matter as much when you're trying to get shots in low light. Let the camera sort of figure out the aperture on its own. If we can maybe skip ahead here, the next slide. Let's read through here. I would say the key thing, 2.8 fast lenses are really, really great when you're shooting this stuff. Obviously, anything that lets more light in is a good thing. Be aware if you kind of range back out into normal light, if you're coming out of a dark venue into a bright street, for example, that just kind of be aware of how you have things set. Maybe we could skip ahead here. Sorry, I'm just kind of trying to fly through this. I know we only have a few minutes left. Let me talk about ISO just real quick, and this is something that if you're new to South by, or maybe you don't do a lot of event stuff, or maybe you don't haven't shot any sort of low light things where you're having to get shots quickly and without any chance of really redoing any of them. Be aware that ranging your ISO up as high as your camera can take it, and you kind of have to experiment with your camera to see what's good and what works. But a lot of people say, well, I set my ISO at 400 and that's what I try to keep it at. That's going to screw you all kinds of up at South by Southwest. You've got to be able to shoot it up as high as, basically get it up as high as that thing will go. We've seen some of these newer cameras, I'm sure you guys have them. Mine's not new, it's old. Mine does 3200, it's a D300S. But I was able, there's several assignments I can go back and show pictures of that are every single shot's at 3200. That's just, that was the minimum. So don't be afraid to let that happen and to let the ISO kind of range up, just because that's probably the only way you're going to get shots in some of these places. It's getting better. I'll say the lighting at South by overall in the aggregate level is getting better, but there are still venues where the lighting is just crappy and you're just going to have to kind of deal with it. If you're using Lightroom, you can solve a lot of the noise issues, so don't be afraid of the higher ISO, I guess is what I would say there. Next. Flash. I always think of Flash as being sort of a last gasp if I've got no other options and nothing else is working. I had one, music showcase where the band unplugged one set of the lights and turned the other set on the crowd. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to have to use some Flash in that situation. But I try definitely not to, just because it just doesn't look good. It's just not an attractive photo to me. It's not the way I like to see my pictures. Use a modifier if you're using Flash. This is a good thing. That would be like a bounce card. Bounce cards are really, really good if you're shooting music because now you've got this big flash sticking up, which is already going to piss everybody off behind you. But if you're using a diffuser and that's pointed up, now you're got this huge flash up, and now you're basically strobing everybody behind you as well. That doesn't make for friends. So a bounce card is really good in that situation. You have to, obviously be aware of your sync speed and the things, you have to kind of be aware of what's going on between your flash and your camera. And to that end, I highly encourage everybody to do practice before you show up in Austin. That's the only way you're going to get comfortable with what your camera's doing with that flash. And the only way you're going to discover problems. You don't want to be, trying to use your flash and it's blowing every single picture out and you have no idea why. You don't want that to happen while you're actually on assignment. That's a terrible thing. All right, next. All right, Earl, 6 minutes. Can you do it?
If I can take it off mute. When I release the screen, I need to take over the screen now, Maggie.
Okay.
And
So I'd like to point out that Samantha had a question. Are they allowed to post their own social networks, our favorite photographs from our shifts?
Yes. So the answer is yes. You can post it on Facebook, and that's about it from your favorites, you know, from that day if you're proud of a picture you took. But just know ultimately South by Southwest technically owns your pictures for 3 months, so just don't let it get beyond your personal Facebook page. And also, I just want to take this opportunity to say, everyone, during South by Southwest, everyone that's a part of this, please come see me, because I have something to give you all, a gift, and I'll be giving it out at Sunday's meeting, but you won't be there. So just remember to tap me, and I will give you a little fun gift to keep you inspired throughout South by Southwest.
okay, I'm going to give you a real brief introduction to the things we expect you to do in Lightroom. You don't have to use Lightroom, you can use other programs, but Lightroom's the most common thing that we see photographers using now. So this is what I would typically do to a picture you're going to be turning in before you turn it in. This is what you're seeing now is a screen of the can everybody see my screen? Rita said you can't see it.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Okay. Anyway, this is where this is just one band, one event. I've gone through and marked the ones I like best, and I'm going to pick out one picture here to show you what I would do typically. So you want to switch over. Once you select that picture, you want to switch to the development mode up here at the top. Can you see my cursor? And typically, we're going to go through these settings in Lightroom on this panel on the right-hand side, and you want to typically do these in the order shown on the in the panel here, because there's every setting affects every other setting, so you have to be careful. So this histogram here is similar to the one you see in your camera when you're taking a picture. That's your best tool for figuring out whether you've exposed something right. So we talked about blown highlights before. If you click this little arrow in the corner of your histogram, you'll see the blown highlights all show in red. So his white shirt here is overexposed. There's no detail in those pixels there where those red spots are. So we want to try to fix that. That's also reflected by this. What the histogram does, it shows just a count of how many pixels you have. On the left-hand side would be the number of black pixels. On the right-hand side would be the number of white pixels, and then in between would be a count of how many pixels there are of all the different shades of colors in this picture. So a good histogram will be spread out across the whole width of the available picture here, the available histogram. So the first thing we're going to do is not crop. We're going to set the white balance. This picture is a little bit green, and I know in rock and roll pictures and colored lighting, things are not always going to be normal white light, but still, we don't like to see green people. So what you want to do with that is grab this white balance selector tool, the little eyedropper, and you want to come over and you find something that's not a color. You want to find something that's white or black or gray that has no color in it. You click on that, and Lightroom says, oh, now that I know that has no color, I'll adjust all the colors to match that to make it be colorful. And I find that with things like this, with weird lighting, picking a black object is typically going to give you better results than trying to pick a white object. And like his shirt, I don't know that it wasn't light blue or something, or so you might not remember that. So black is usually the best thing to pick. For example, and you want to pick something that has the same light falling on it as your subject. I'm going to look. I know this speaker back here was black for sure, and it's this side of the speaker where I'm pointing at now is the same direction pointing at me, so I know it's going to be similar to light falling on it. So I just click on that, and pow, it already looks more natural, and I've gotten rid of that green cast. You might still need to adjust that some with these sliders here, but it'll get you close with that eyedropper. And if it doesn't work, you can always drop the eyedropper somewhere else. Like, for example, you can often find some black that light's hitting on the microphone, like that little stand there, and the mic is black, that little clip there where it holds it on. So find something black, click on that. So once you get the color set right, then you want to come adjust the exposure. start, we just click on the auto button right here, and Lightroom will go through and try to set your exposure right. Notice how our histogram changed. So you can see we're spread out a little more for that histogram. Now I'm going to fine tune that a little bit. We can adjust that a little bit, because a lot of times your camera and Lightroom won't know. With a camera a photo like this will confuse your camera, exposure meter, and Lightroom often, because you have so much black here. It doesn't know that this black is not important, so it's trying to expose greater, trying to open up more and get more light on to make that black more visible. But you don't really care about the black. What we care about is his face and his shirt and clothes and instruments and stuff. So we're going to bring this down a little bit. And if you bring it down too much, you'll see up in the histogram we have no pixels of any of the light colors here. That means you're underexposed if you're in your camera, or right now it means we've set the exposure setting too low. If you bring the exposure up too high, then we got picture. When you run off this right edge here, when you see a tall bar on the right or left edge, that means you've got things over or underexposed. There's no detail in that. So we have nothing on in the shadow side, no detail there. So that's a way overexposed picture. So we'll bring it back to somewhere. Let's just hit auto again. Bring it back to where auto was. That was pretty close. But I'm still, his shirt is still light. So what exposure changes the whole histogram all at once. But then these 4 sliders right here just change a small part of the histogram. So if I put my mouse on the highlights histogram, you can see up in the histogram part, it just lights up this section right here to let you know I'm only going to be affecting that section when I slide this side. So I'm going to slide the highlight slider back to the left a little bit to lower the exposure just on the highlights, so I can put a little detail in his shirt. And I might, since his shirt is white, I might slide it back the whites here to get just the extreme edge to get a little more detail there. So this is how you fix those blown out highlights. So you can see our era here. If you click on the era up in the histogram now, there's no red spots. There's nothing being overexposed now. So same thing then in shadows. We can bring up, if we want to see a little bit better shadow, like in his pants or if there's shadows in his face or something, we can slide the shadows slider to the right. That'll make the shadows a little better. Now, come down to the blacks. This is often important for concerts because all this black stuff here, we don't really care about it being underexposed. So we want to keep this blacks, in fact, a little washed out here with some of the lighting. So I'm going to slide this black slider on over and make these blacks really look black, and that makes the subject pop out from that background. So I would probably give this picture somewhere in here. And you see this picture, we didn't crop close, so you still got the South by sign. They'll like that. So now we got a picture that's reasonably usable there. The other thing you'll need to do, so we've adjusted the white balance, the exposure, and the only other thing is getting some detail here in the detail panel where we'll want to look at noise reduction. So for that, you can see here it shows you a close-up of his face. Here it's kind of like cheating here because this was shot in the ACL theater where it's lit for the television, so this was shot at like ISO 1200, so really noise wasn't a big problem here. But you can see if I slide this slider over, it'll start, making the spots go away in his face. You have 2 different sliders you want to use. There's a color noise, and there's just this standard noise is this luminance here is what most of your noise will affect. Let me go over and show you one quick thing about noise. This is a shot up in the audience. During this concert, they closed off the upper balcony and let some VIPs in. I don't know who they were, but I took a couple of pictures of them in case it was somebody really famous. And but you can see this shot shows a lot more noise because there was no light up there in the audience where they were. And this was shot at ISO 1600. But also, when John was talking about ISO a while ago, this is shot at 3200, and even though it's a much higher ISO, there's less noise here because this shot at 1600 is underexposed at 1600. So you're going to get worse noise with a lower ISO. You tend to think a low ISO is going to be better quality, but if you're underexposing with a low ISO, it's going to be worse quality, not better. So, but if we look at this one as the worst case of noise, you can see here we can slide this over some. We'll slide this luminance over. And what I'm going to see here, you see a lot of, when you have a solid color pattern here like this, you might want to slide your detail slider back some to get rid of some of the. You want to have less detail so that wall won't have streaks and stuff in it. So sometimes this detail slider, if you go over to the right, it gets more detail. See how you're getting all these patterns in the wall. So even with the luminance raised way up, so you need to adjust the detail. And if you adjust the detail too low, then you're losing detail in their faces. So you don't want to go too low with it. It's a fine line there, and there's no right or wrong setting for any of these things. So that's really pretty much it. Now you're ready to go back. What I would do next is I would go back to the library, click at all these. This is the picture we fixed a while ago. I would click Alt-A to highlight all the pictures in this set for this band, because you assume they're all lit reasonably the same in the same ISO setting like that. And then you just click Sync Settings. I still have this one I've fixed highlighted, but you click Sync Settings and apply those same settings to all of the pictures in this set. And so now you don't have to spend so much time. You spend some time on, pick out one typical picture on a set, make all the adjustments to it, and then just apply those things everywhere else. Then you can go look at the others and you'll tweak them a little bit, but you won't have to make all the same settings. Like this one, the color's going to be a little different because this wasn't on the stage, it was out in the audience. But that'll get you close for all the other pictures once you get one done. The other trick that you can do is, especially with things like ISO and stuff, is use presets. So like if we go back to the development side here, and I figure out, like I shot this picture at ISO 1250 and I figure out this noise setting works real well for it, you can come over here to your presets, click plus, and you can title that, and I might call that like standard ISO 6400 setting. And then on here I'm going to check none except noise reduction, and then I'll click create. It'll create a new preset that just has the noise reduction for ISO 6400. So that in the future, I've already got these, so you can see what I do to save me time. I have a setting for 1600, 3200, 6400, whatever. So I start with these whenever I'm doing. I can look up here and see what ISO I was set at and just click the closest one here, and that'll give me, it's somewhere in the ballpark of the right ISO setting. And Lightroom also is smart enough to remember these ISO settings. If you have multiple cameras, it'll remember those presets for each different camera you have, because every camera has different. The settings for 6400 with one camera won't be the same as 6400 for another camera. So it'll even know to apply those based on which camera you shot that with. So that's it. Are there any questions? Now you know everything about Lightroom that you need to know. So all the stuff we just went over is on our website. These tips page, a lot of the stuff we've done, and even more. Like here's the Lightroom tips page. It has all the stuff I just went through, and for each area, it has a little video and some website stuff you can go to for more information and to explain it in more detail. So same thing for like Jonathan's low lights and the flash and all that. So there's pages here. This whole section, this reference section, has lots of information about how to shoot South by Southwest. That's all. We're only 7 minutes over.
So magically, I don't know how, we're only 7 minutes over, but
considering we started like a half an hour late.
So there are still a few questions over here that I want to make sure that we have addressed. Jacob, you're the number one up here. What if we have to work during the day and have a night shift? I know we've already mentioned that, but I'd like to say that that is not an excuse for being late for check-in. Just obviously, that's one of my big things for the shift leads. So just so we know about that. Darren Herman says those are kick-ass shirts. And yes, I agree with that. Let's see. Joe.
Unless something new came in, I think the rest is just comments more than
Joe
questions.
said that was the greatest thing he's ever seen in his life. I'm assuming it was the video because, yeah, that was pretty magical. That was amazing. Let's see. Too funny. Thanks for the video. Agreed. Yes, we do have Wi-Fi access in our room. Will the photo crew be open on Thursdays? Yes, we've addressed that one. I don't see any other questions here. If there are any other questions, by all means, please feel free to email us. This slide deck, I believe, is going to be on our
It's on the share. There's a link on one of the pages on this thing.
Okay.
But we'll send an email out with the cheat sheet and the link to this and whatever. The slide deck's not out yet, but we'll publish it probably after Sunday.
Okay.
Hey, Maggie, as a wrap up, can you go to the pop quiz slide?
I can.
We didn't tell about the quiz. Oh, I see people hanging up all over the place.
Yeah, don't hang up. There's a quiz. But wait, there's more.
Are there prizes to go along with this quiz, or what's the
No, they're
reward for the
penalties.
quiz?
We don't tell people whether there's a prize or not. We just tell them they have to do it. Let's see. Okay. Wait. No, play. Not that. Oh, dang, sorry. Put the wrong one up. Okay, this one. Yep,
Go ahead.
there we go. Okay, this is our pop quiz. So I want to see the answers written in the Q&A section. Okay, so our first pop quiz question is, where is the new photo room located?
I know the answer.
Added those words together. The photo room. Is that what you said?
I'm tired. Anyone out there have an answer
Come
for
on,
it?
answer the question.
We can't go to the next one until we see an answer.
We should have
You're
made
still
it
with us.
multiple choice.
Well, we can't when we're in the room.
Why not? You can make it multiple choice now.
Because
That requires thinking. and
Everybody's
talking.
asleep.
that's more work.
So,
That's a lot of
All
work.
right. So I haven't seen anybody answer yet, so I'm going to be nice and I'll give you this first one, but I need to see answers after this. So on this one, it is...
David Tate answered.
There it is. Thank you, David. You
there
win
is
the
a little
prize
delay
of
between.
being the first answer person.
Yeah, it's,
Okay, so next. Can you check in late to your shift? Less than 30 minutes prior to the start of your shift? This should be a pretty easy answer for everyone.
Very loaded question.
Yeah.
Very loaded.
I think the answers are just coming in very slowly.
yeah, they're a little behind us. There's a delay.
Oh, that's right, because they're 30 seconds behind us.
That's true. And I did just notice that Jonathan is taking part of the Maggie Donovan version of training, which includes wine.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a necessary ingredient.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
the
I'm not
stage of the
seeing
game.
answers coming across just yet. We're going to say no. No to that. No. Ah, there they are. No.
No,
Gosh,
no.
I'm like 2
Beautiful.
seconds ahead. Okay, the next question. Tell me, is there parking downtown?
Same answer.
Do you mean parking for anyone or parking that you can find?
Just in general, are you going to be able to show up 30 minutes before your shift and find a parking spot?
Depends on how much money you have.
That's a fair point. But in general,
In general, in Austin, parking has become bad, let alone during some craziness like South by.
yes,
And with all the
Tim Strauss has a correct no effing way.
Beautiful.
Yes. And don't
Nice.
expect to be able to pay for parking either, unless you want to spend $20 to $30 a day parking in a hyper-inflated
And it's
garage.
even more during music.
Yeah, music is where you'll see the $30 for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's gonna
so
be
next.
worse this year because there's construction on a number of places we used to park, or now, big holes in the ground where they're building new hotels. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're all going to park at Darren Herman's place. Way to go for volunteering. Haha, just kidding.
No, ride your bike. Good, very, very good tip. Ride your bike.
So when do you wear your volunteer shirts?
I'm gonna wear mine when I sleep. Just saying.
I'm going to wear mine as a dress.
Hmm.
Like you're going to get sleep, Jonathan.
I know that's the joke.
Just sleep with your Ted.
During your shift, yes, that is correct. Only during your shift. And only when you are at some place where you are actually taking pictures. If you
Well,
are
there's
if you are
small-
at a location where you are not assigned, somebody else is assigned, and you're just there to have fun, take your shirt off. Do that
But when
for
you're walking
us.
around South by, just doing atmosphere shots,
Mhm.
you're more than welcome to
Look
keep
at that. Go for it. But if you're just there to enjoy and somebody else is working, take your shirt off. Be nice.
Assuming you have another shirt to wear.
Yes.
Well, this
Or-
is Austin.
Or
Don't
turn
go
it
shirtless.
inside out. You don't have to take it off.
Okay, folks, who is it that wears the pink buttons? This is an important person for you to know. You've got to look at their yellow lanyards because these people wear yellow ones so they can kind of stand out. But they also have this bright pink button. So tell me, my friends, who wears these buttons?
This will go better in the live meeting.
They're probably like, God, there's a huge delay on their side too.
I just want to go. I just want to go back to the things I was doing 2 hours
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
Woohoo,
And
did
if you're in the
you-
Eastern time zone, it's almost tomorrow.
Yes, Tim, he said that. Does anybody remember these pink buttons? Yes, the manager of the different areas. Thank you.
Well, specifically,
Marcella.
it is the PR person for that area. So
Point person.
some of your assignments will say, this is your contact person. That will be the person wearing the pink button.
Yep. And in particular, for those of you who are doing film, if you are shooting Vimeo, please bear in mind they need, this is not a want, this is a need. They need you to show up a little bit early, and they need you to go and talk to them and let them know you are there. Because many years we've had a phone call 10, 15 minutes before you're supposed to be there in a panic because they haven't seen you. So please just take a minute, get there early, go find the person with the pink button so that you can introduce yourself and let them know, yes, I am here, you're covered, move on to your next thing.
And FYI, the Vimeo is the theater inside the Austin Convention Center, so it's always real crowded and a lot of people wandering around there. Is why it's confusing.
It's a general rule. Try and show up at least
Yeah.
15 minutes before your assignment time.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you shoot when you are not scheduled to shoot an event? Not scheduled.
I think I'll buy a vowel.
Which one?
Well, let's see. An A.
These guys, they deserve, like, we need to buy this group of people, like, around sometime.
I would agree.
They've
They have been
with us.
very... Yes.
We need to wrap it up.
On the barrier, yes. Okay. Barrier works, just not in the pit, not where the people who are needing to be there, the people who are on shift, not where they're shooting.
You can
Stay
shoot
away.
from your seats. Tim Strauss has the right answer.
Oh, I don't have that one yet. In the audience. Yep, that works too. All right. You
Spouse.
guys are getting this faster than I am.
Stay away from the photography area. You will be tempted when some awesome band is doing a panel during music at the convention center. You want to get up front when Depeche Mode is talking. Do not do it. Just do not do it. Shoot from your seat or from the back.
They don't look good up close anyway, so just saying.
All right. Oh, Maricela would like tacos. That's how we're paying her back.
That does happen, actually.
It does, yeah.
What?
Last question.
The last one. When are the photos due? Does anybody remember this? Earl was talking about it. We give you a flash drive or 2 if you really have a lot of pictures.
April 1st in daily photos. Well, that was a quick response.
If you follow directions, you won't need 2 flash drives. If you need 2 flash drives, there's something wrong. You're making the pictures too big.
Right.
Things gone horribly wrong.
April Fool's Day. Now, no jokes on these people. Come on now. It's April 1st, but let's be serious.
And we will probably. That means you need to have them. You need to have them ready.
Serious.
We need to have them all turned in by South by, but we will try to put together some turn-in events.
Mm-hmm.
So you can instead of having to go to South by, you can drop them off with us. For you guys, it will probably be a mail-in thing to South by, because most of you are out-of-towners.
So we would like to thank each and every one of you for staying with us for the last extra 19 minutes of your time. We really appreciate it. If you have questions, which I'm sure you're going to, go back, look through this deck, read the cheat sheets, go to the website. If you still have questions, reach out to us. We will happily answer. We answer email constantly, so by all means, reach out. Once you get to town, again, let me stress this to you. Once you come in, don't wait until the day of your first shift. Come down, get your badge, walk over to the room, see where we're located, take the time to actually get yourself acclimated to the scene. And then that way, on your first shift, it's easy peasy. You just walk in and make it happen. But
especially because you guys are out-of-towners.
Exactly.
That's really going to be important.
Exactly. And music, again, everything gets a little extra crazy during music. So parking is a little extra bad. Prices are a little extra higher. Crowds are a little extra big. A lot of times people that are coming into town, they come in for music. So if you're only coming in during that time, please keep that in mind. What you think you might need to double, triple during music. If it's going to take 10 minutes, it's now going to take you 30. So just keep that in mind. Get there ahead of time. Get yourself set. If there's anything else you need, reach out to us.
I come in at 7:30 on music in the mornings, and I don't have any trouble finding a parking space.
Well, that's because you're special about parking, and
so if you don't need
not
sleep,
a morning person.
Yeah, if you don't need sleep, you can come in early and get parking at music. It's usually a later crowd.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, with that, we're 20 minutes over. We deeply apologize for that. However, by our calculations, we're 10 minutes under because we started 30 minutes late. Yeah! But
and for anybody that wasn't here tonight, the video of this whole presentation will be online and over.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much.
We're going to let you go. And Joe, you're right. This was the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life. Everybody agrees with you on this. And good night. Sleep tight. Get your sleep now. We'll see you in a few weeks.
I need to show Joe a few things at the festival.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Good night.